Hello, this is Daisy Joy at Adventure Acres Homestead in northwest rural Iowa. I know that I usually do weekly videos, but I think for the time being I'm going to try to do dailies and see if I can update you more often on everything that's going on, because there's a lot. So let me get started. Okay, so big headline personally, my 91-year-old grandpa, who is also my son's bestest friend, lives in a long-term care facility, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I can't really decide, they have gone in a state of lockdown, which at first meant that he was not able to receive visitors. However, now they've had to kind of tighten things up even more, and the residents are sequestered in their rooms. It's really hard for a number of reasons. One is that it's very difficult for my mother because she is my grandpa's primary caregiver. She visits him every day. She makes sure that he's connected to the family. She makes sure that he is involved, and she keeps him apprised of things, and she helps with logistical things like doing his laundry and things like that. So this has left her with a kind of a vacuum of purpose because she helps him with so much stuff, and she's really plugged into life with Grandpa, and now she can't do anything but call him on the phone. My son is fairly heartbroken right now because he was looking forward to going and seeing Great Papa and playing Uno with him, and he's got to play Uno with us in the meantime, I guess. And if I think about it too much, I'm gonna cry, so I'm moving on to my next item of business. No, really, I understand it is very important, and I think it is absolutely necessary. They're taking precautions because they're trying to protect him, and I respect that so much. We still get to call him and talk to him on the phone, but it's so hard to know that there are other residents there may not have all of their faculties, and they may be confused right now, and they may not understand why family suddenly stopped coming to visit them, and that is just heart-rending, and I'm gonna not think about that right now. If you pray, please pray for the seniors. Okay, on to the next thing. Here in our state, we have unfortunately had some community spread of the virus. It's mostly down in the Des Moines area. However, one county over from us, in a town that we visit regularly, there has been a case that showed up. In light of this, our governor has decided to recommend that our public school system be shut down for 4 weeks. That's a lot to wrap my brains around on its own. Now, this week was scheduled as spring break for our kids at their school, so they were already not in school, and now they're going to be home for possibly 4 weeks, which is a month. Now, don't get me wrong, I am excited about getting to spend time with my kids. I love hanging out with my kids, and I'm excited about all the projects we can do and things that we can do together. Of course, I'm thinking about all the people I know who have jobs and they have kids, and they're trying to figure out how their finances are going to work, and oh my goodness, this is a lot of stuff. There are a lot of people who are low on supplies as it is, and now the kids are going to be home also. It's going to be taxing on their resources. So since my kids are going to be home for 4 weeks, I sent my husband to the store to get some Mod Podge and some crafty stuff, projects to keep them busy and occupied. I am kind of hunkered down at home right now. I'll get to that in a minute. I don't think I've been to the store since before I left for Los Angeles. When he showed me the pictures of how empty the shelves were, it was kind of jarring because this is all so surreal. I can't. The shelves are completely bare of any paper products. There's no toilet paper. I'm glad that we had the wherewithal to have supplies on hand. We're covered, but I'm thinking about all these poor parents who are going to have their kids home for the next 4 weeks, needing food and needing toilet paper and having no food and having no toilet paper at the store. These people are caught completely unawares. But I know that we probably have enough supplies to squeak us by through a month as far as toilet paper and those things go. It's difficult, you know, and I was trying to think, what can we do to help people, you know? And it's so frustrating. Don't even get me started about how frustrating it is to see articles. There were some very opportunistic individuals who decided that they were going to participate in price gouging, and so they went around and they loaded up on all the supplies that everybody was looking for, all the hand sanitizer and toilet paper, and they have whole garages full of this stuff, and they're selling hand sanitizer for $60 a bottle. I am thinking unkind things, so I will not go further into that. Now, I used to homeschool my older 2 kids, so I am familiar with the routine. I know how homeschool works. You know, this isn't a foreign concept to me. So this is kind of a fun revisiting of a previous chapter for me. But I know there are some parents who are probably feeling a little overwhelmed right now. It's also sad to think that there are some kids out there who, even in my community, I know that there are some kids who have a really turbulent and difficult home life, and the idea of them not having that stability of the routine and whatnot that they get at school is kind of, it's a difficult thing to kind of wrap my brain around. We were foster parents, and I know that in dysfunctional households, sometimes their ability to go to school is, you know, keeps them safe. And so I'm thinking about those kids right now too. We've already had our requisite snow for spring break week, because that happens about every year, and we're supposed to get more snow this weekend. I think about the weeks between mid-March and mid-April and what a huge difference that is. And, you know, everything's starting to green up, and it's going to seem like a whole different world when they go back to school. And of course, I'm thinking about my kids and how they're going to adjust to all this. I know it's a lot for kids right now because they don't necessarily have a full grasp of everything that's going on. And, you know, we've tried to shelter them in some respects. You know, we're not going to ply them with all the gritty, difficult details of everything going on, but at the same time, we're not going to leave them completely in the dark and wondering why they can't go see Great Papa and why they aren't going to school and what's going on, and leave them in a state of confusion. So we're trying to approach them at the level that they're at and that they can understand. Okay, so to just address the elephant in the room, I am one of the vulnerable categories of people when it comes to the whole virus that's happening right now. Frankly, I'm a vulnerable person when it comes to the common cold, because when I have a virus, my immune system is triggered, and in a normal person, that would be a good thing because your immune system would go after the virus. In me, that means that my immune system starts attacking my brain and my nervous system and shorts the wires, so to speak. So it's not ideal. I don't like the idea that I could be facing further damage. Mind you, this happens when I get just a common cold, one of the most benign things that there is. I am trying to be a good steward of the body that I have and be responsible, because I know that I am more vulnerable to these things. I do not want to lose my vision. I don't want to lose my mobility. It's kind of difficult to explain it to people because I don't want to seem like I'm overreacting or I'm giving my illness too much power in my life. No, that's not what I'm doing. I just went on a trip to Los Angeles recently. It's not that I'm trying to cop out. I want to be clear on that. It's not that I don't engage in life. It's that I try to do it responsibly. I have multiple sclerosis. That's no big revelation if you've seen any of my other videos. Back in August, I started having hypertension, arrhythmia. It was kind of all over the place and a lot of different things happening. We discovered that I have a nodule in my thyroid. I went in and had it tested, and it is a hot nodule or an overactive nodule, which is producing the thyroid hormones. And so it put me at risk of things like heart attack, heart failure, stroke, all the big bad categories. We found out that my MS medication also affected my thyroid. So I have been off of my MS medication since August. I will need to have my thyroid addressed in some capacity, which means either a surgery or some sort of a procedure to kill off part of the thyroid that's hyperfunctioning, because I am at risk for damage to my bone density and heart attack and stroke and all those big bad things that I mentioned. Right now it's fairly stable. However, if I get sick, it is entirely possible that it will kick off something big and bad and ugly. So it is very important that I stay well. As far as the multiple sclerosis, I am not on any treatments right now for that until I can get my thyroid in check. And so I'm having a bit of an MS flare-up. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but life is a little bit intense right now. I'm the sort of person that I take everything in stride, and I'm very optimistic and very hopeful. But that doesn't mean that the logistics of things and the extra work doesn't catch up with me and leave me more vulnerable to an MS flare-up. Some of the things that have been going on lately are pretty severe pain, muscle spasms, occasional problems with mobility. I've had some really severe migraines. Just last night I had a really awful set of muscle spasms in my ribs. I don't know who named this particular thing, but it's called an MS hug, which is not like any hug that I have ever enjoyed. What happens is the intercostal muscles in the rib cage seize up and they don't allow your lungs to expand fully, and it feels kind of like a heart attack. But beyond all that, the biggest thing is the fatigue. I have just been beat. I am able to go for a couple hours, you know, I'm doing stuff, I'm keeping up on top of things, I'm cleaning and I'm making food for the kids and I'm, you know, doing things, and then it just hits me like a ton of bricks and I have to go lay down for a minute and just kind of recharge for a bit. Another thing that's going on right now is that I'm having numbness in my face, and I occasionally have vision issues. Now, my vision is one of my assets that I'm very protective of. So if I start having vision issues, I know that I need to just lock it down and just recover. I need to focus on getting better. It's hard because I was out in Los Angeles and I was doing things and I felt very useful and productive, and now I'm here and I'm having a stupid MS flare-up. And my husband has found out from his supervisor that it will be possible for him to telework, which means that he would be here and the kids would be here and I will be here and we have all the things that we need here. This is good for a couple of reasons. One is that I, of course, with a compromised immune system, would benefit if my husband was not out in the community, possibly being exposed to viruses. This is also good because he is similarly someone who is immunocompromised. Now, I was just reading an article and it was explaining how people with respiratory issues, like asthma, and people who have hypertension, and people who are immunocompromised are the most at risk out of the younger population. And of course, my husband has all three of these things going on. So I'm as eager to have him out of the line of fire. So all these things are going on and it's just kind of, all of it's so surreal feeling right now. I think about, you know, back when they had the Spanish flu and, you know, it was this whole big pandemic issue. You know, is this something similar to what they were feeling? You know, were they feeling like it was so surreal and is this really happening? Is it big or bad or ugly, or are we overreacting? Are we underreacting? Did they have the same questions that we're having right now? I think about that sort of stuff, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do these videos, just for myself, but also maybe for future generations. This is a global event, and it's kind of so strange to us, but I think it's probably good for us to kind of keep track of these kind of things. Having lived overseas before, I tend to pay attention to international news and reading some of the articles. We have friends that are all over the globe, and hearing the first-person accounts of what's happening in other places is really, I don't know, grounding, I guess, because, you know, it's kind of surreal here and we haven't really seen a lot of anything big or bad in our specific area. It's really difficult to know that there are places where this is really taking a toll, especially on the senior population. I'm very prayerful right now. I'm planning on hunkering down here at home, not because I'm afraid and not because I'm intimidated by this virus. I don't feel like I'm motivated by fear when it comes to wanting to stay home and encouraging people to take it seriously. I feel like I'm motivated by love because I have a grandpa. I have dogs in this fight. My grandpa and my husband and myself and the people who love me. I am doing it, you know, my concern comes from a place of love and not of fear. How are things going where you are? Please let me know in the comments below. I really look forward to hearing from other people and how things are going in their area. Please go ahead and share in the comment section, and if you have any questions about anything, post those too. I hope everything's going okay where you are. I'm going to try to do dailies and kind of keep everybody apprised of everything. I think that with everything going on, people are going to feel more isolated, and I think that communication and sharing is going to be extra important right now. I'm hoping to continue on with daily updates and progress reports and just kind of keeping everybody in the loop. All right, so that's my update for today. We'll check in tomorrow. In the meantime, This is Daisy, signing off for now. The thing about adventures is that's very difficult to have one if everything goes right.